Hello? Okay. What's going on here? There we go. What's up, guys? Good morning. How y'all doing? Bring the chant. Um, nah. Hello. All right, let me finish getting this epic pen set up real quick, and then making sure that works. All right, cool. House hunting? It went okay. I think I maybe found a place. We'll see. Dr. K. I never agreed to do any weekend streams without a hat. Sunday cold service. How you guys doing? Yeah, it's very annoying. I can't get it to go the other way. I don't know. I think my hair is kind of like fucked up this morning, so no. There. Probability of big market downs tomorrow. We'll see what happens with the Chinese market tonight. Probably around the time I stream the weekly DD. Thank you, Bear Power. I appreciate that. Thanks, Max. It's an okay hat. What it is primarily right now is clean, which is probably the most important attribute for a hat. Got 441 puts on the SPY. Fingers crossed. Jesus Christ. It's a big gamble, JG. Couldn't you have gone with like something fast banana? Whoa. Thank you so much. Coup to you, sir. I appreciate that. That's unnecessary, but thank you so much. Not that it provides shade. No, I don't like to live in the shade. Actually, it doesn't really provide much shade, does it? No, I feel like sunglasses would be better for that. Welcome to Sunday Services, Trash Dan. I never wear them either, so that's a plus. It's fair. I only wear them generally because my headphones, like the band, rubs my head and it like pulls on my hair, and then my hair hurts. Does that make sense? I hope my 445p will print. Me too. What did I buy? I don't even remember what I bought on Friday. 445s and 444s. I peer pressured everyone into the spy bets. That's not good. Guys, don't let yourself get peer pressured into possibly awful plays. Like if we look at the spy right now, it's wait, hold on. There we go. It's actually looking pretty fucking good. So be prepared to like maybe get burned. Bald spot, but only where the headphones go. No, I don't have a bald spot. How dare you? See? Thick, lustrous hair. Bald spot. Kiss my ass, Snickers. Is that Snickers? Yeah. Were the Buscemi calls fake news? No. Those aren't. You know that Twitter account's not actually Steve Buscemi, right? With options, do you ever use in the money calls? Only if I expect it to move like a very small amount. Or if I think I need to be able to get out quickly. Sometimes on GME, I'll buy in the money calls. Ooh, I'll also buy in the money calls if I think a stock is going to bounce back up to max pin on a Friday. Not GameStop because it doesn't do that, but like stocks that do that. Yeah, Steve Buscemi is not running an investment Twitter. No, that's it's just like a joke. My thick head did not get why it's good to spread calls out. Jimmy, the next few $5 strike prices higher. I'm starting to learn my first options November 23rd, 24th. Yeah, usually on GameStop, if it runs, I expect like a lot of movement, right? So you can buy closer ones to make sure that you can capitalize on that movement, right? And then like you can buy them further and further out to profit off of it, right? So for those of you guys that were here on like before August 24th, I bought like a spread like from like 160 out to like 200, I think. So you guys got to see kind of why. That's on the Wu-Tang Clan album NFT. Who's selling it? Is the Wu-Tang Clan selling it? Is it an NFT of that one-off record that they sold to the Pharma Bro dude? Shkreli. Could you do a recap of last week expectations versus actual? Yeah. Um so I think last week we were looking at is this run in October? I think it started here. I deleted some stuff because I was doing TA. So I think I was expecting like that. No, it was more, wasn't it? For some reason, this isn't scaling the way I want it to. It should be going up logarithmically, but it's not. Or maybe I had it. I feel like it was higher. But I had it. We go look at the DD. Did I pin that? Whoa. So I think this is what we were looking at. Versus actual. So I guess we kind of just spiked like here. We spiked like earlier in the week. And then like our high was like right here at 190. And then down to 183 the next day. What ended up really happening was we kind of just stayed right along that long-term trend line. Although, why do I feel like this isn't the most recent one? Oh, this was January's price action. That's right. Hold on. Did I do? Oh, here it is. This was it. We're off a day. This was Friday morning. So yeah, I think we ended up at what 183. So falling below the expected range for Friday. These like the volatility peaks in these was almost high enough, but volume was way too low. I had to reduce volume pretty significantly. I keep expecting volume to flow in with these movements, but it just doesn't. Like even when we moved up, you know, from like Monday to Tuesday or Tuesday to Wednesday, we moved up what or Wednesday Thursday? Was it Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday Thursday. We moved up like almost $20 in range in that time period, but on almost no volume. I think our highest volume day this week was like under 3 million. So like while I want to do these, it's starting to seem just like pointless because if I estimate for that low of volume, our range ends up just like like basically flat. Like it just looks like that. So we're going up far more in like our price action's far greater on low volume than I think I can even like show people. Expected movement for the 21st. So if it hold on, I'll do it. 1 second. I need to be able to figure out what dates those were. So the 20th through the 23rd. 23rd. So possibly a break of 200. But the FTDs are way lower this time. So it's possible that maybe we'll just test 200 and not actually break through. It's some trash DD on Supersonic suggesting RC has bought the Sideline album. Okay. Anything show up in the FTD report that indicates DRS is doing anything? Not yet. But to be honest, like that didn't that like I don't want to call it a fad, but like the big push to DRS really didn't pick up steam until like the end of September. So it's and it takes time for those shares to be like completely registered. So you have like the time to transfer. And then they have to pull the I don't know what the settlement period is for pulling the share from the DTC. But it could be a minute. So like so what I'm looking for is a rolling total to increase. So like that, like on the days where we don't have spikes, I'm looking for that total to run up. Right now, all we're seeing is like really low FTDs and then big spikes of FTDs, and it goes back to low. So I'm looking for that lower trend to increase like over time, and that's what I'll be looking for like the effect of DRS. Thoughts on Wu Tang Clan? See Theo Vaughn's Netflix special trailer. Look like he's has a bit using the word gherk. Awesome, I guess. So in a nutshell, since the 13th, we've seen exactly what you expected, but just less volume. Yeah, essentially. Why wouldn't volume come in like you expect? Well, there's no stock, Dr. K. It's we're in a really weird situation. And like I'm trying to look for historical precedents of, like Russell 1000, what should be highly liquid stock, just not having a float. And I'm having a difficult time finding that. There's some correlations with like OTC stocks where this kind of thing has happened, like penny stocks, right? Because like sometimes the float can be bought up there, but never on anything like a $13 billion company, right? And so it's really hard to find something to compare it to, at least in that regard. Like we're getting to the point where our liquidity is almost as low as it was like pre VW squeeze. After Porsche announced that they owned everything, which was a really small window before it spiked. Yeah, I'd imagine the share offerings and rebalances only go so far. So, um, I expect these FTD spikes that we're seeing to accelerate, right? So we had one, here on the 21st, and then we should have one here on the God damn it. Why is it doing that? Stop that. So we had one here on the 21st, and then we should have one on the next report here on the 13th. The one on the 13th should be greater than the 21st was. So the one I expect for the 21st, which is here this Thursday, should be even greater than the 13th. And then the last one on the 26th should be the greatest of all of them. But back at last October, those spikes were in the millions. So there's definitely an effect from the share offering. Tay. It might. Although historically GameStop breakouts are shorted leading into them. And I also want to see if that like the MACD crossover holds. If we get a market tip, it won't, right? We'll get that false signal. Is it the fact that short hedge funds can cover any time that makes this situation so stressful, unpredictable? I mean that's part of it, yeah. It's really, I mean, so they're incentivized to cover on the expected date, but the fact that they can cover before that can throw, like forward looking theories off. They don't. Historically, they've only a couple times have we seen them cover in advance. How do you expect 11/24 action to play out? Well, if it's true that they used a lot of that share offering to kind of hedge this whole run, right? And cover their FTDs that way. And so we didn't really get the gamma exposure from the run up on August 24th that we expected. I think November 24th will be uh, probably like an order of magnitude greater movement and volume. During the anticipated market downturn, is there a way for us poors, Europers, who can't play options to profit from the downtrend? You guys have like leveraged CFDs, don't you? Or get like IBKR so you have access to options. I would say short the SPY, but that's super risky and capital intensive. Would you be looking for less than a $13 billion company? As I'm looking for a company that is valued at what GME was last October. No, because we didn't have the liquidity issues last October. I'm looking for, like a 12 to $15 billion 10, well, actually I think I've widened it to 10 to $15 billion market cap company whose entire float is owned. They're not easy to find. A lot of them are like the ones with liquidity that low tend to be like high paying dividend stocks, and then their liquidity is just low because no one trades it, right? Like they have a business, they've been doing it forever. No, like their stock doesn't drop, but it also doesn't climb a lot. Nothing much, Dan. Dulcemeyer. No. So the actual T plus 35 date is the 26th. The actual peak of the run up should occur on the 28th. So this is T plus 2. There's two settlement windows. There's a T plus 3 and a T plus 2 settlement window packed into this whole thing. So the fail date is the 26th. And this is what it should all be covered by historically. And that's because there's like actually a couple fail dates there. We have the T plus 35 window from the FTD spike on the 21st. And then we have a T plus 35 window from the fail of like the ETF fail. And so APs and market makers have different settlement windows. And that's also true for share creation as well. Market makers have T plus 2 and APs have T plus 3 after T plus 6. So those are kind of packed in there, but that's where they fall. This is on the 26th, the 27th, and the 28th. But the first fail date, like the actual fail date, is on the 26th. And that's more just the way I chose to explain it to make it less complicated to understand. Is there a low side on either action or volume that you're looking for to disprove your theory? A drop when I expect to go up, I guess, like a move, a move that is inverse the expected action. Like we definitely went up significantly enough this last week on the 13th and 14th as expected to confirm for this part of the cycle. We still need to see movement on the 21st and the 26th. If the 21st is larger than the 13th, will you rebuy 1119s or pick up some December calls to play the 1124 option spike? I'll probably pick up November 19th. I already have December and January calls for the movement I expect in November, and then I'll start buying those at a lower strike after the 28th. I don't know how much will actually drop, but I expect a dip, or at least very flat trading. So like a morning spike, intraday dip, end of day spike. For the next, if the SPY comes down, if the SPY continues to rally, I imagine we'll move sideways and slightly up. So it's just these two price actions versus each other, and those will be dependent on the SPY. I don't expect a lot of volume to come in on GameStop before the 21st, or any like significant price action. Just standard like sideways chop. Perhaps they let the fails happen this go around thanks to the offering. It was less dangerous. Maybe an attempt to throw people's tracking off. Possible. See you, Trash Dan. Do you think a test of 350 is possible on the 28th? I don't have a lot of confidence in a test of 350. It could happen, but no. So on Monday, the updated SLD rule gives the NSCC the ability to margin call its received members at any day or time going forward. Am I understanding that right? Yeah, I believe so. Is that NSCC 010? I feel like there's a ton of incentive to take the short hedge funds out. Is there any reason why that hasn't happened yet? You don't want to fuck it up if that's your goal. Like if your goal is to like try to take down Citadel or something, that's not somewhere where you want to make a mistake. You want to ensure that you're gonna win, right? Before you go in for the kill, so to say. No, they don't have an option not to settle. I just don't think that the number of fails is that great. I think it'll compound and it'll go up, right? And then going into the next cycle, the number of fails should be far higher. Um, but I think just the total amount of fails is going to be less based on the data we have from the 21st. It's so annoying knowing the SPY downturn play for Monday is super logical. Yeah, it is. SLD Rex, possible Evergrande default, 1 trillion bank Rex. Yeah. And yeah, the SPY does what it wants. It does. The market is always run on sentiment before anything else. I think supposedly they officially default uh tonight. If you come for the king, you best not miss. Yeah. 10 is only because of loan rather than making short hedge funds liquidate them. I can't remember all the fucking NSCC rules. Is it 007 then? I became a Dillionaire yesterday. How do I access Pickle's picks? Oh, hit me up on the Discord and I'll give you the instructions for how to link your YouTube and Discord account. They're also in the announcements channel under the pinned messages. Would you consider it a safer play to buy near the money options for January 22nd on GameStop? Or are you talking about the SPY? I assume you're talking about GameStop. If you're talking about GameStop, then I mean, yeah, anytime on GameStop, if you're giving yourself more theta, you have a much better chance of your options going in the money. You also give yourself time to get out if the stock moves against you. That's the benefit of leaps, is that like the stock moving against your predicted action doesn't really affect them that much. Like you won't lose a ton of value if the stock moves a little bit the way you don't want it to. If they start to cover now, will the upper impact be much less in January? And what do you mean, Tom? If they start to cover all of their short position, they won't. It's not something you need to worry about. What we're gonna look for, what's gonna be super important, is how much volume follows the roll and the how much volume follows the movement on 11/24. So like, do we get a repeat of August where we see this huge spike on 11/24, and then that kind of just dwindles down into nothing into the roll dates and expiration, indicating a spike in January, or does volume come in? And if volume comes in, then it's likely that they're going to attempt to roll their futures and stabilize the price at like 350 again. So we'll see what happens. I also expect that there are some semi-annual contracts involved as well, and so January may just be stronger based on that alone. Do you think there will be a bailout? No. You don't bail out hedge funds. Banks. If big banks fail or clearinghouses, they could get bailed out. Oh, for Evergrande? If I could predict what the CCP was gonna do, I would be a very rich man. It's hard with the CCP because they can kind of do whatever the fuck they want whenever they want. They're really not stymied by parliamentary houses or like a Congress or something like that. They just make a rule and it's enacted. And from an economic standpoint, that's a huge advantage. Any earnings estimates for this week? I saw Intel, some other biggies later this week. Actually, I did have some that I wanted to look at. Hold on. I think I saved it. Give me a second, see if I can find it. Oh, maybe I didn't. I'll look at it again. I'll put them in Pickle's picks, whatever ones I happen to be looking at. Those loud diamond hands on Reddit are going to be shutting up real quick if we stabilize at 350. What do you mean? Oh, like on the roll in January? It would suck. It would mean another quarter. Likely. Although I guess with no share offerings, maybe it's just that would just be Moass. Maybe they wouldn't be able to stabilize at 350. I don't think they can. I think too many smaller funds are wildly at risk at that point. Like like Susquehanna and like those guys can maintain like a huge negative loss on GameStop, but the smaller funds can't. If they start getting liquidated, then it's just a matter of time. Do you think puts on individual companies in the SPY would be a cheaper alternative? Yeah, if you can find something with low IV that's weighted heavily. And then you have to hope that that's like the sector that's hit the hardest in the initial downturn. It's a lot of data analyzed. You can do that, but it's a lot of work. They have annual futures contracts in addition to quarterlies. Semi-annual. I don't know if they have annual ones. Maybe. I mean, I'll hold my SPY puts until Tuesday if they go in the money. How does the proposed SEC rule for the multiple day trading halt benefit the stock? Wouldn't it just continue trading where it left off? Yeah. I don't think that affects anything. Also, that rule is super old. Think we'll Moass in less than a year? I hope so. I still think we're closer now than further, right? Like, I don't, I still have yet to see any evidence that we're moving further away from the target, right? Like the likelihood of Moass is constantly increasing over time, no matter what. There's gonna be a ton of selling if we stabilize at 350, maybe. Still surprised Tesla's above 800. We'll see how long that lasts. No problem, CJ. How long can GameStop run a company until they have to address what's happening to their stock, or does that ever even happen? You don't have to address your stock at all. I don't really marinate steaks. I'll marinate things like carne asada. Like if you're just talking like I'm not sure what you mean. Like if it's just like a steak that I'm cooking and just eating as a steak, I'm not gonna marinate it. Just bring it up to room temperature, salt it, sear it, eat it. Simple. Yeah, I've seen the FTD reports. We had a spike on the 21st. It was expected, but it was 80%, 87% lower than it was last year, which is significant. What do you suppose GameStop doesn't address or respond to the shareholders when they reach out? Do you think that's still working with the SEC? It's possible. I think it's more likely that Gabe grew capital and didn't need as much or secured a loan, a longer term loan from somewhere else. A user. I can tell you for like absolutely Citadel did not need $500 million. When you were paper trading, did you do it every day? Every day I could, yeah. I recommend I think initially like I didn't do this, and once I started doing it, it really like accelerated my my learning curve as a trader. Is set challenges for yourself. Like if you want it to be a job, right? You need it to support your current, at least your current uh lifestyle, right? Like your current cost of living. So set that challenge first. Try to effectively trade your cost of living every week. Um like your minimum, whatever your bills and like food and like your monthly budget, whatever that is. Set that as like your first goal and try to effectively make that money paper trading um, each month. And then you can tighten that goal. And the better and better you get at it, then you can start setting other targets. Like, okay, I'm going to start like $1,000 account and see how much I can grow it in 1 quarter or 2 quarters. And like, you can have multiple paper trading accounts at once, right? So you can do this all over. Like, you can set all these little challenges for yourself. I know on Thinkorswim you could go back and trade a day, so you can like try to time, like if you know something ran that day, like don't look at its chart, but just like rewind it and like try to paper trade the run up. Like say you would have heard about it once it was already running, and then try to like paper trade the scalp effectively, things like that. I put pepper on my steak, but I usually do it after. I don't like the taste of like burnt black pepper. I feel like when you pepper it before you cook it, you lose a lot of the potency in the pepper. I mean, that's why when you go to restaurants, they ask you if you want like fresh black pepper, because it's the most potent. Like when you now don't get me wrong, like there's reasons to cook it. Like if you're doing like oh, the French one, like a poivre, steak à poivre, like with the like the peppercorn cream sauce. That's different though. Most retail will have their positions more than doubled at around 350. If it stabilizes and starts moving up $30 up in day, down each day, people will take profits. Well, hopefully people have a bunch of options on the run up to 350 and they won't do that. But yeah, people are going to sell. Happened every other time we hit 350. It'll happen again. Not everyone's going to be a diamond hand, but it shouldn't matter. Individual retailers selling like tiny, the FOMO that would kick in could easily drive it past 350 anyway. Why do you think Burry pulled out of Tesla puts? Did he? Last I heard, he doubled down and got even more puts on Tesla. If we get a test of 225 or even a cross of 225 out of this cycle, I'd be very happy. While I think the upside is possible, pushing through 225, better yet, holding a push through 225, I feel is way more important. Do you trade on IBKR? Yeah. I don't have any GameStop there anymore. Well, that's not true. I have a couple of my like in the money calls from back in February that are still in there that I haven't exercised. But I've exercised all my other ones, I think, except for those. But I'll most likely just sell those instead of like transferring the money over to exercise them. Or I'll sell a couple and exercise the rest. But yeah, IBKR has fantastic order execution. It like, especially if you're day trading like stocks and not options, even options, their order execution's bar none better than anyone else's. I think WeBull's order execution on options is pretty close for free, so that's a plus. Especially if you're doing like a large number of contracts or on a small move. But they're day trading, like their stock executions, not so great. But no PFOF and IBKR because they charge a commission. Yeah, we can see more institutional buy. I mean, there will be FOMO, right? Like I told you guys before that volume really picks up when we cross like 250. And like well, actually like from 225 to 250, there's a significant surge in FOMO that comes in. And if we crossed 300 with volume and held, I think we'd see even more FOMO. They want my passport info. That's normal. They usually want a driver's license or passport. I think that's part of their like fiduciary responsibility. They also offer margins, so yeah, they would need identification. And then they do charge for they charge for everything, but they're good. Then saw it bounce off the $7 resistance multiple times. I struggle to trust my plays. I mean, you just gotta hold, right? Like if you have confidence in your play, then hold. If not, take some profits when you can. That way it makes the rest of the position easier to hold or without risk. Right. But like if you're up 50% on a position and you take some profits that cover your buy-in or your initial cost basis, then you're just playing with house money essentially, right? And that I feel like that helps a lot of especially newer traders like get confidence with following trends is if you don't have any risk in by following that trend. Like you're not risking any capital or extra capital. You might end up leaving money on the table, but you're going to definitely feel a lot more comfortable with whatever happens after that point. That's why I always try to buy like double the amount of options that I would want for a move. So I'll buy like 16 instead of 8. And that way if the move starts to go as expected, I can kind of ease my way out of the position a little bit and cover some of my cost bases. Do you expect immediate suppression post 1028? Yeah. I don't know how effective it'll be, but I expect them to try to push the price down. There have been a few news pushes late last week that Burry is no longer betting against Tesla. I didn't follow up though. Interesting. His 13F isn't out, so I don't know how the fuck they would know that. And his other options that he had previously definitely went in the money. And, a play of that size, him pulling out of it would be pretty significant. Yeah, I'd want to see some sort of confirmation on that. I feel good about the end of this week, which is weird because usually nothing happens on the end of a week. What conditions have to occur for Moass to kick off? I think we need a decent number of FTDs. We need fairly high open interest in the options chain. Then we need FOMO. And then that needs to lead to small short liquidation, short position liquidation. And these need to combine to create gamma exposure. So if FTDs are higher, option interest will rise, right? Because of the increase in price. That will create gamma exposure, which will then create more FTDs, right? Which then, so every time this cycle loops, we'll see even more momentum, right? And since we know how many times it loops now per quarter, right? We know that it can pile up on 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6 separate points. So theoretically, what could happen is, we get the spike on 11/24, and then that leads into volume into the roll, and then volume into the expiry, and then because there's no share offering, then we may see volume start to increase as these larger numbers of FTDs come in, right? And then all of that action from the open interest creating gamma exposure, which creates more FTDs, which creates more open interest, all of that's going to lead to FOMO, right? Which can then lead to the small short position liquidations. God, I'm a genius. And that's essentially how January went down. As we saw this small but significant increase in price over the previous cycle, and then the next cycle had far more interest, which created far more FTDs and got us on the reg show threshold list, which creates even more interest. I wanted to let you know that I 100% would have sold my GME out of fear and ignorance if it wasn't for you making this channel. Instead, I tripled down. Appreciate you, Girk. Thanks, Dan Almighty. I appreciate you too, even though I don't want to live with you or satisfy your wife. I do appreciate you. If GME starts taking off and AMC isn't a lot of AMC holders are going to question their position, possibly sell and get into GME. Yeah, if AMC doesn't tank before then. I'm waiting for this week to play out first before I even take that into consideration. And I don't know if I'm going to forward predict price targets anymore. Because if I scale these to our current volume, it just looks like this. It's just flat. So this would be like the expected price action. Oh, crap. It would literally just be like this. Hold on. There. That's what it looks like if I scale it to 1 million volume. So it's not I can't visualize that for people. So maybe I just won't do it anymore because I can't scale it down enough, and then it makes the upside look extreme. And people also don't seem to realize that this is open, high, low, and close, right? So this these represent the range of trading for the day, not the stock is going to go up to the top of that and stay there. And since it's creating so much confusion, I feel like maybe it's best to just leave it out. Your profits have been far more of the run to 850. Okay, so you got profit Snickers. That's the first step. Don't worry about leaving money on the table when you're new at this. That's something you can worry about later. That's you have people that sharpen knives to do the work that they need to do with the knife, right? And then you have people who sharpen knives to the point where they can split hairs with them, right? And while one is useful, The other is kind of just like a perfection of that art. And that's what leaving less money on the table is. It's just like honing like the peak of that skill set. Um, and so I wouldn't worry about that so much, especially when you're new to this. Just be very happy that you're up and, you know, make equally good decisions going into the next play, and you will over time naturally leave less and less money on the table, but also you'll be able to you'll be far more comfortable you know, trying to capture that extra growth in your trade. I mean, it's $17 in the market on Friday. What option should I play? I don't know, man. Are there any $17 options? Have you gone through the process of getting a DSC with IBKR? Oh, maybe. I'm trying to remember what that is. Oh, you're talking about like the security device? You could get one of those. There's another program that you can get that uses like um I'll dig it up. It creates like blockchain passwords and updates your password like every 12 hours, which is probably just as good. This new volume, do you imagine the floor price will only rise $10 to $15 after each quarterly cycle, making Moass much longer, 3 to 5 years? I don't think so, because I think the short interest is too high to pull that off. You're talking about like a slow squeeze, and no. Because if our volume gets much lower than it is right now, right? Like we're heading for, I would say by next quarter we would be seeing like sub 500-600K volume days, right? And if that happens, you know, we're looking at like things like the NYSE stripping Citadel of DMM rights and things like that. Like they're not going to allow that to like continue. The CNBC did an article that said Michael Burry told them so. I mean, that's a statement of a source that could be accurate. So there's some hedging that they're going to need to do because of in the money options this week, but I don't think it was very significant. So yeah, we might see like a small bump Tuesday, but I don't expect anything major. Sorry. Just so everybody knows, sorry, but my ass will not happen until my divorce is finalized. Are you still expecting a run on the 21st? Are you going to play options on that, or are you going more conservative? No, I'm going to play options on it. I still expect something to happen. In all seriousness, I made way more money than I ever thought I could based on the knowledge I've gained watching 8 hours a day. Seriously, though, stop teasing me with Pigeon Whale song ideas. Dude, it's so good, and I keep forgetting to message you guys about it. It's going to happen, though. I think the biggest takeaway I've gained is building immunity to money left on the table and daily up and down. I was too emotionally invested 6 months ago. Now I feel nothing. Good. Nerd. Yeah, the limit for withdrawals is 1 million a week. Do you need more than that? I think that's just withdrawals. I don't. I think you can still like close the account and wire it. Because just 1021 cause a breakout from the mega wedge. Okay, the mega wedge is not in TA. There's a big wedge here from like this point down. So I can show you that. That intersects with our long-term trend. But there's really no there's definitely no wedges that start in January. So so if, because this creates too much noise, right? And it spreads your support resistance out way too far. So you can start wedges from like February, um, with having those like leading out, or you could have wedges that start in each cycle. But there's if a wedge starts out in January, it's just wrong. Like this thing that you see everyone drawing on like Bazinga is just bullshit. It's like this one. And even that's more accurate than what they actually what they're drawing. But this is still an ascending triangle, right? Like it entered from the downside. Like we didn't sustain January's price, right? And so this run up is actually the relevant one because this is where we've sustained price action. Like we dropped after January. So January is essentially just noise as far as TA is concerned. Like I wouldn't pay attention to it at all. But yes, there are breakouts. They're just drawing them wrong. There are continuations. They're also drawing those wrong. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, like at all. No date for the Lauer interview. He hasn't gotten back in touch, I don't think. If it hits 10K, it's on its way to X dollars. Has changed? No. I think that that chance for people who really hold is still as present as it ever was. I think someone should clip that 5 minutes and share it with the whole channel. That was really succinct and helpful. Are you talking about the like the how does Moass start thing? I could clip that later, I guess, or try to, maybe. Yawn talk? I hear Kermit the Frog. Has he been inside of you the whole time? No. The 200 MA looks like the floor right now to me. Yeah, pretty much. I don't even know. The EMA 160 is, we bounced off very solidly in the last, or on this cycle. Like that's where that intersection occurs here. So if you look, there's these intersect kind of right there. Like if you ignore all this institutional selling, and right here is where the EMA 160 is. We've also bounced off it, I think, here and here. Let me pull it up. I'll take a look just to make sure I'm right about those two dates. Yeah. So it had two other bounces on it here and here. And then here. What was the catalyst for the 21st bump? It's T+2 from the expiry day. You have to remember, as the price gets higher and shares to borrow start drying up, which has to happen when the price goes up, right? Because they need to continue to suppress it. Um, that creates a pressure on the obligations warehouse to spill out those FTDs that they need to that need to be covered, because lenders are going to be like, where the fuck are our shares? Which is kind of what DRS also does, theoretically, although we're still waiting to see that effect occur, but should do. So what's the psychology behind a wedge? Do market participants look at wedges for breakouts? I mean, they do, but there's also psychology behind it. And that it's finding consolidating supports and resistances over time. And that eventually means that a push to the upside will favor one or the other more greatly, like buy or sell side, depending on the wedge. Kind of in this, like all of these do have like a psychological, like all TA has a psychological component to it. No pickles picks yet. I'll post those later tonight. I do hydrate enough. Thank you for the concern. I mean, if it takes you 10 weeks to pull out your $10 million from IBKR, is that really a big deal? Or even 100 weeks to pull out 100 million? Like, why do people think they need to be that liquid? Also, you could just buy like $100 million worth of like the SPY, transfer it to Fidelity, and then cash it out, right? Maybe you'll even do it on a green day. So your prediction is Monday, flat or red. Tuesday, small bump. Wednesday, flat or red. Thursday, big bump. Friday, flat or red. About right? Yeah. I've been curious as to why a realist such as yourself believes in Moass. I mean, I've read all the DD, and the realist in me has a hard time believing other than seeing GME keep going up. So everything points to it being possible. I have read maybe one DD that had an okay theory on it not being possible. And honestly, that DD probably made me more bullish than bearish. Um, well, I think a lot of things can happen between now and Moass, or a lot of things can happen that could interfere with Moass. I don't see the incentives there. Um, but everything else looks good. And from a technical standpoint, from a fundamental standpoint, I'm also up in my position, which, helps a lot, right? Like with options, my cost basis is significantly sub $100. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, like every dollar change in price definitely hits me, but um I expect the stock will just go up over time anyway, even without Moass. So even if I had any doubt in Moass, I still have a lot of faith in the stock as a long term buy and hold potential. I just think that the possibility for Moass is high. Is it T plus 35 from rule and expiry, or just the fact that different entities have different T plus obligations? So it is 13th was T plus 35 from the rule date. The 21st will be T plus 35 from the expiry date. And the 26th is 35 days from T plus 2 from the expiry. Um, and then there's a small window there as well for gamma exposure on between the 27th and 28th for gamma exposure on ETFs as well to complete that settlement cycle time frame that kind of overlaps all of this. Thoughts on CRISPR? Super cool. uh, if I had a lot of money, I would probably own a lot of their stock. For GameStop, based on fundamentals, should the daily volume look like on a company with their market cap? Uh, Probably like a few million a day. They have a low float, so they should be getting traded a lot. A lot of interest. And we don't see that because the liquidity sucks and it's dangerous. And so even traders are staying out. Like, have you noticed that we don't have high frequency trading on GameStop? That should be occurring. If the stock was going to be stable and flat with like little blips of arbitrage, there'd be high frequency traders all over it. But it's too volatile for them. So like the other end of that illiquid spectrum is like blue chip stocks that are super stable and like everything is priced in, and we're also not that. What about a bump because we were above max pan? Any significance? Yeah, we'll see that probably Tuesday. As long as the market's not dragging us down. What's your favorite vape brand flavor? I don't really care. It's just nicotine delivery system. It means I'm not really that into it. I was when I first started, and now I could just give a shit less. Is it true the Dans are holding out on returning frag until you turn over the Moass button to them? Probably. Every YouTube TA person said it was dead. I didn't think it was dead. I just wanted to try to get as low on the dip as I could. So I bought back in a bit before the hearing, and then when when DFV was just still in, then I just bought more. And thankfully I got in most of that before the run up. I haven't really bought a lot in this window. I've traded options like through here, but I haven't bought that much. Maybe, I don't know, 3x shares, like mid 3x shares since then on some dips. Thoughts on SPY down on Monday, slight bounce on Tuesday, down on Wednesday again due to earnings. Maybe. I think if we see the SLD cycle, it's gonna play out. Like if it starts dipping on Monday, I think we're gonna see that dip play out through Wednesday. Maybe a slight bump like mid Wednesday, but we'll see. I mean, the market you have to watch; it can turn around quick. It's a good point, but I'm not in the state, so I can't get Fidelity without starting a corporate account for Fidelity. So take $1 million out of your IBKR and open a Fidelity corporate account. Have a brokerage pull your, like another brokerage pull your, you can get your money out. It's not like a concern. If you have all of your shit in IBKR, that might be a concern. But if you don't, if it's just like some options that you're going to have in there during Moass, I wouldn't be super concerned with it. You'll be fine. Why November 24th and not the yellow line like Linux Tuesday, November 23rd, which is exhausting? Well, it's both, theoretically. It can be the 23rd and 24th. It can also just be the 24th. That'll depend on how much volume has to be covered. If they need 2 days to cover the amount of volume, it'll start on the 23rd. If not, we'll just see the volume on the 24th, like August 24th, because a lot of the exposure there is from ETFs, and ETFs settle in T+3, not T+2. But if I start doing that, like, here's the problem. Like, I had to find a way to define this for everyone to understand, right? So I can't put in all the dates where things can happen, right? I just have to define it in these windows. Because if I put in like all the things that are going to occur there, it's just going to cause further confusion than it already has. So if I'm like, okay, so the 23rd's the T+2 plus 35 from, X, and then the 24th is T+3 plus 35, right? Like, that's just going to throw people off. And I can just say the 24th. Last time it ran on a Wednesday too. And yeah, there could be some movement the day before from open interest also as well. And I haven't read all of Linux's DD, but I'm sure I don't 100% agree with it. Right? Because some of it is definitely counter to mine. also don't like I don't necessarily agree with the thesis behind it. I think more importantly, if SPY gap's up, will you still hold your SPY puts? No. Why would it gap up? It's already it closed above the 445 floor, so I don't think it'll gap up. There's no gap for it to fill. Thoughts for entry point this week, or if we're fishing for that bump Tuesday, Monday, if we dip hard? Yeah, I'd just be looking for a low in the dip. We don't have a lot of room to the downside with the long-term trend the way it is, but there's some. Yeah, the SPY broke out. It's above 445 now. Is there a way for the short hedge fund to cover their position and Moass not occur? I don't think so. Definitely not at this point. If they had opportunities, those are gone. Maybe they could have suppressed it back in January and March and covered everything and brought the price back down, but they didn't. And now I think it's just too late. Besides retail just owning most likely more than 100% of the float, then you have DRS compounding that, and now it's really become truly inescapable. The problem is their greed let them get in this position, right? They probably could have ran it in January significantly enough to bring the SI down, and then, did this, like rolled the rest into futures, but they didn't cover shit, right? They just shorted the whole fucking thing because they thought they were right. What time are you expecting the SLD to impact the SPY on Monday? I have no idea. It usually dips shortly after open. What was the gist of that, DD? He thinks that like GameStop's moving around the supplemental liquidity deposit cycles, but I don't think it lines up correctly, and it leaves too much unexplained. Like it allows for too much variance in the price action, whereas I feel like my theory doesn't really allow for any variance in the price action, because even on the cycles where they roll, we still see the fails coming in, right, and getting covered. Like there's still anomaly events even on the cycles that they fail or that they roll, and then there's anomaly events are greater on the cycles where they don't. Because otherwise these would just be straight down, right? Like there shouldn't be any buying occurring in these windows. You think Kenny's gonna look 80? He already does look 80. I feel like he's just been eating salami dipped in mayonnaise for months now. Due to my situation, IBKR is my best brokerage. That's fair. I mean, they are considered a stable, solid brokerage. There have been issues with them with GameStop in the past, though, and make absolutely sure you do not have margin. Or if you do have margin on your account, make sure you have no margin debt. He does, right? Like he looks like a dude who's been eating way too much like cured meats. Like that look that like old Italian men get when they've just given up on life and they're trying to eat enough pastrami that they can get a divorce the natural way. Their pores get all huge. Smarta's look juicy for spy puts though. On the last SLD Monday in September, closed what? I don't know. There's just this look that people who are on like a high fat, high sodium diet get that Kenny looks like he has. He's been on prednisone. But he's like spent too much time in the sun. Yeah, lots and lots of alcohol. Could be. I don't know if he's an alcoholic. He might be. Usually guys like that aren't. Their entire life is about controlling things, and self-control is usually something they're pretty good at. What are your thoughts on the shaft trend cycle? All oscillators do the same shit. And they're all reverse looking. So, if one looks bullish, most of them will. There's stuff that can be derived from them, but I highly doubt anybody on Supersonic's deriving the correct conclusions. Based on the TA that I've seen over there, no. And with GameStop, you really have to like do some shit. You can't just use like a stock oscillator and be like, oh look, you really need to like fine tune it because our volume and illiquidity are so fucked up. Or volume and bid ask spread, I should say. They aren't until they short GME. If Kenny wasn't such an unrivaled piece of shit, I'd almost feel bad that Melvin got him in this situation. Is TTM firing? I don't know. Let's find out. Yes. I wonder if BBKC is though. I hate the script on here for it, but I'm too lazy to actually try to figure out. Oh, see, that's interesting. TTM and BBKC are firing simultaneously. Maybe we just rip tomorrow. I don't know. This was the last time they fired together. It's curious. Off similar price action, too. Uh, they're a low to high volatility indicator. TTM predicts direction, though. But we got a fire signal yesterday or Friday. I'll write about it in the weekly TA tonight. Can you explain how rolling contracts work for the short hedge fund with regards to margin? I thought it was the same as selling and rebuying. No, it's not. You cover the net exposure of the contract, and then the contract's date is moved forward. It's not the same as rolling an option. And it's possible that the type of contract they have requires them to purchase stock in order to reduce the value of the contract so that they can roll it forward, or increase the value of the contract so they can roll it forward. They have to return the contract to its original price for it to be rolled. Generally, that's done with cash, but since these contracts appear to have an effect on the underlying, that may not be the case. Or because they wrote the contracts at such a high price that the dips actually increase the value of those contracts, and so they have to cover even more depending on how high or how low GameStop's trading. So it could have an inverse correlation as well, like a hedge. Plotkin's still alive. He's not trolling people on Twitter, though, I'll tell you that much. January 27th. Don't use, if you go back, Knuckleballer, I discussed that you really shouldn't use January as technical confirmation. It's just noise. It creates issues with TA. I think that's a big problem with a lot of the TA that's been done on GameStop in the past, is that everyone's always using January as their root. But the fact of the matter is that people sold in January and the price dropped to $40, right? And so that's the starting point. February is the starting point of where we're currently priced, not January. Yeah, they aren't. And that's just because they're coded in TradingView badly. The TOS one's actually coded better. You could all just use TTM on TradingView. Not a lot of platforms have TTM Squeeze as an indicator, though. Are you surprised that given the continued illiquidity, the NYSE hasn't done anything regarding Citadel's DMM? I mean, I think we're still trading about 5% of our float per week, give or take. So, not yet, but I think if it starts to dip below that, it's going to be very noticeable. Enough evidence for a weekly. I mean, my job on Reddit is twofold. Part of it is, showing the product of buy and hold and getting people, jacked for the upcoming week, while still maintaining the truthfulness of the situation, which is our volume sucks, liquidity's drying up, and price movements are just not, even though they occur on much lower volume, are not as great as expected, right? And so it's a hard balance. And then people don't like the truth. And no matter how much I explain it, a lot of it gets misunderstood anyway. Wait, these hedge funds are hedging? Mind blown. I know, right? Thanks, Red Ranger. Yeah, you guys remember you can always watch the VOD after. Yeah, it doesn't match TOS, but it's worked. Clancy Gilroy, did you want to say something in that message? I appreciate the membership, dude, but if Evergrande defaults tomorrow on the 24th, do you anticipate the SPY being good for puts past Wednesday? Do you think the SPY will move up or down fast enough to take advantage with the short-term OP? I don't know how much the Evergrande default, if it defaults, how much of an effect that'll have. I'm mostly playing SLD. I don't really have any, like, none of my thesis is based on Evergrande's default. It's kind of like icing on the cake, but yeah, I'm not playing SPY puts for that. I'm just playing it for SLD. There's too many variables with the Evergrande thing. Like, it's going to entirely depend on what the CCP does. It's going to depend on Chinese exposure from U.S. funds. It's going to depend on if those funds have already started pulling out and are pumping that money into the SPY, right? Like, if that money's flowing back into U.S. markets, our markets are going to rocket. So yeah, I don't think Evergrande's really factoring into my play as far as that's concerned. How long until GameStop wants to do something about illiquidity? Why would they care? They don't need their stock traded. Hi, Pi-Fi. Loving what you're doing. Thanks for all the hard work. Thanks, Flurp Floop. I honestly think if you posted a well-crafted DD on AMC is not the play. It could bring a lot of AMC followers to GMA. I truly believe that only you could do this, though. I don't think I care enough. Like, I just want a bunch of, like, paper-handed silly people buying GameStop. Mm. Lazy Bear TCM. Does he have one on here? The safest place in the community to get highly accurate info is right here. Thanks, Harry. Has an update in the comments. Yeah, it's Lazy Bears. Uh, hmm. Have you stopped posting price predictions as they get misinterpreted? Can you add them to Pickle's picks? Maybe. But like I said, if I adjust them accurately for expected volume based on the volume we currently have, like, it just looks flat. Like, there's no, it just shows no price action. Because they don't, they predict price action but not volatility, right? Maybe. Actually, you know what? There might be a way for me to bypass that. I wonder. I'll have to think. Let me think about it. Lazy Bear TTM's flawed big time. Is it? I don't really use that one. I think I used to use Drekins. This one's not bad. I don't like 20. Actually. I think I used to use yeah, I used to use this one. And I didn't like it. Because it threw a lot of false signals, but I think I used to use this one here. You're also, Stefan, I think you might also be assuming that those indicators are done properly at brokerages, and that's not necessarily true either. There's a few indicators where like the fix is found on TradingView. Like I think the TOS TTM is better on here. You do have to make sure that they're smoothed equally. Your Bollinger Casey and your TTM. BTC Tether is related to Jamie at all? Probably not. Will you please put a pickle pick that's under $100 to play? I usually do. Don't I? Didn't I do like the chef one this week? That ran, right? I didn't play it, but I think it ran. Not a lot, but you know, it's cheap. Archive. What did I do last week? IRNT last week was cheap. I think the spy shorts not this last week, but the week before. Was Prague kind of cheap? I think Prague was pretty cheap too. I usually try to put one in there that's cheaper for people that are like actually like doing, especially for people that are paper trading and like trying to use real numbers instead of just putting $5 million in their paper trading account. I own Lucid Blueberry. I just saw covered calls on it though. I'm sure someday it'll be worth more. UWMC was pretty cheap. I never put that up as a play, I don't think. Did I? I hate that stock. I own it, but I really don't like. I don't like playing it. I think it'll be worth more money in like a year, or when the housing market tanks. I think Rocket Mortgage will take a big hit, and UWMC will probably pump then because they don't. I don't think they have a lot of their money in refinance, or they do. No, they don't. Why is the volume so low today? It's just it's gonna happen on the weekends. We're 5 million traded. No, you didn't. Just saying it was cheap. Oh yeah, yeah. UWMC is wholesale. Yeah, so I think if we see an increase in interest rates, UWMC will benefit or will be hurt less by it than some of the other mortgage brokers. Did your ADX cross over before close of after hours last Friday? I don't know. I haven't checked it. Bolipor's HVP SMA is flashing on the daily right now as well. I hate that indicator. It's fine, but it's definitely not my favorite. I think the worst thing you run into with a lot of TradingView oscillators is that they're programmed for one time frame and usually not programmed across multiple time frames. So you'll run into errors if you're not using the like CVVWAP. If you don't use it with extended hours, it's like doesn't work at all. Why is the total market volume been much lower across the board than average? Is the market still undecided? Yeah. It's just a shift in sentiment. And all that liquidity that was pumped in is starting to dry up. I love your mentality of just finding solid pay instead of spreading yourself thin and chasing things. Yeah, I try. I mean, like, I feel like I added it up the other day, and if you'd been in on every, like, Pickles pick since I started doing them, you would be up pretty significantly. I think only, like, a couple have been losers. And that's kind of a shift for me, because usually I trade far more stocks in a week than that. And, like, since I've been streaming, I've actually been, I mean, less profitable because I take less time doing it, but, like, profit per play is far higher. And that, like, I'm just looking for things that I can, like, I'll get guaranteed money out of instead of, like, playing on the riskier side of shit. And I honestly think it's better. Maybe I'm a swing trader. Maybe it's happening. It's like a slow shift. Or maybe I just have enough money now that I can swing trade. And, like, whereas before, like, I really had to day trade. That happens too, right? And then you start looking at, like I've been looking at, like, more things as, like, long-term investments lately. I'm like, yeah, I could buy that now. And in, like, 6 months, I'll make, 20%. It's weird. It's still weirding me out. I'm still getting used to, like, the whole doing the stream thing. You're getting old, maybe. Becoming a boomer. How much do you need to swing? If you're swinging options, you generally want, like, a pretty big account. Because you want to be able to buy them far out enough that, like, your option doesn't take a hit if your play doesn't move as expected. Maybe I'll, like, throw $5,000 in the WeBull account and see how it goes instead of just gambling it all on GameStop options I know aren't going to make me any money. But I'm up so much on GameStop that there's, like, I can just play options for months with almost no risk to, like, my profits. I found that it is worth the money to buy closer. Wait till you find out how much more valuable it is to buy further out, too. Options question. Can you only get assigned if you short the opening contract? If you sell to open, you can get assigned. So if you're selling the contract, then yeah, you can get assigned. I think that's what you're asking, Angel Fire. Being a streamer OnlyFans. That's only for the pigeon whales, John. Shh. It'd be great to see do WeBull so we can something. Do trades on WeBull so we can see. Maybe. I never have any money in there. Like I usually transfer it out. I guess I could. People get so fired up. The last time I did that was I made a bunch of money in there from Activision and AMD and Tesla, and so I was doing plays in the Webull account, but then everyone is getting so pissy, like on Reddit and in the chat, that I just stopped. And in a way, they're right. Like I should focus on GameStop for now. If I was ever to do this afterwards, then yeah, maybe. Cancer from reading that. Do you focus on Greeks when determining out of the money options or sentiment? I focus on my projected like moves. So I trade momentum, right? So if I think like if I was trading GameStop right now and I think it's going to move to here, I'm not really focused on the Greeks, right? Like I'll give myself time. I guess more of a feel. Like I used to do that. I used to sit down and like evaluate each options contract, and I just don't give a shit anymore. Um, but like, say I expected to go up and test 225, right? Then I'm buying out of the money options. I'm gonna buy them at like a spread across that movement, and then try to profit on the expected move. But I'm not gonna like try to individually assess the value of each contract. I just don't care. I don't have time to do that. Pissy? Why? They don't like me trading other stocks. They get mad if GameStop's not pissed on the screen. Every time I even look at another stock, people come in and they're like, I just got here. What the fuck's going on? Why is GameStop $194? And I'm like, no, that's cat. It's just like, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't give a shit. You should do the 500 challenge on Webull account. 500 challenges tend to not work out. I could do it. I think I've only ever hit like 30. I think only 32% of accounts was I able to get to, if I remember the numbers correctly, was I able to get to 25,000 off of 500. So it was pretty low. Most failed. You have to take a lot of risk on 500. Like 5,000 I think is a good starting place. Like anywhere from 5,000 to 25,000. I think you really only need 25,000 to start if you're day trading stocks. But 5,000 allows you to take a lot less risk. So it's harder to burn the account. Whereas 500, like, you're kind of just all inning on, like it's like you're YOLOing 500 and hoping to win. Can you initiate a transfer on Fidelity side to get your AMC out of Cash App without having to log in? No, because they locked my account. So I really actually have to like get in touch with PayPal and provide them proof of ID. And I think they want like a utility bill, which you guys know I never pay. That's true, but I also want to keep my focus on GameStop as well. That's the harder part. That's why I think in a way they're right, a user. Because I don't know. I feel like if I'm not focused on it, there aren't a lot of people that are. Not in good valuable ways, right? Like there's very few like good DD being written anymore. And I know that sounds like self-congratulatory, but like I started doing this because I really felt like that was a hole that was not going to be filled and was only going to get worse. And I hoped by doing this that I would be able to like kind of fill that gap. And I think I have to some extent. Would you charge more for subscriptions if you do live stream trade post Moass? I don't know. I I only have the subscriptions to keep the Dillionaires Club small, and clearly $25 was not enough to do that. But it's not grown out of control, right? Like it hasn't turned into general chat yet. But that was the only reason I ever charged for it anyway. And then the pigeon whale thing was supposed to be a joke, but then, people really wanted to flex on the poorest. And I mean, really, they just wanted to support the channel, and I'm super grateful for that. And continue to be. But if you guys look at like people who do that, they charge like hundreds for their memberships, so you can like be part of their private chat room where they like pick stocks. It's fucking lame. I've never thought anybody needed that, and all of those things are scams. So I was just like, I figured like if people were serious about trading, $25 a month is nothing, right? And so that's why I set it there. And I don't really have any intention of changing it. It's true. We do have a lot of downtime right now. It's tough. So you gonna add YOLOs to Pickle's picks? No, I don't want to encourage people that don't know how to trade that well to do shit like that. Like I can YOLO, right? I have enough money that I can YOLO and it doesn't affect me at all. Um, but I don't want people learning that way. I don't want people going about it that way because it's wrong. It's just a gamble. Like if you want to have fun, whatever. But like, and it's your money ultimately. But I don't want to be the one that be like, hey guys, let's fucking all in on IRNT or something like that. No, I already said if anybody becomes a pontiff of VWAP after, like, that's a Moass membership, right? And if anybody actually does that, I'll do something like good with that money. I don't know. I'm not going to give it to a charity, but like, I'll actually go out and do something with it to help people. Are you the only real person on YouTube? I don't know. I don't really watch YouTube, so I couldn't tell you. First and only double pigeon whale. I can confirm the flex is real. Thank you, Visceral. Even Nutsaculon had declared that he was paper handing, and he's right back in again. I think the flex might be addictive somehow. You seem much more laid back in these private streams. You're the only voice of reason in all this. I truly is. I'm sure a lot of people here agree. Thank you, Blueberry. All right, guys. I think that's probably what else is in Dillionaires aside from trading. I mean, like there's like a food channel, um, which is kind of ridiculous. There's a post Moass shopping spree channel, and the rest of it is focused on investing and trading and crypto and things like that. Like there's a crypto channel for general chat as well, which I set up just like for Cool Daddy and never took it down. But I think the one in Dillionaires is maybe a little more focused. But it is definitely like investment focused. Cool, Angel Fire. Don't feel obligated to join Dillionaires. It is, if you think you can get something out of it, do it. If you don't, don't. If I can get a piece of the Smilf real estate empire, shut your mouth, Miss Earl. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We went a few minutes over today, but it's fine. Yeah, I'll see you all probably tonight for the live DD. If you guys are around. If not, I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning. Thank you guys so much. Do you want the music? Do you want the closing music? Later? All right. I'll see you guys later. Have a good night. Not an advisor. Frigulon.